Education was really important because I wanted to set an example for Jacob, and especially because my mom didn't graduate high school.
Something that I did struggle with my entire life, and in grade 11, after I finished grade 11, that I ended up getting pregnant and having my daughter.
My son is named Jacob Gardner, and he's from Eagle Lake First Nation. I got pregnant with him when I was 16, and I had him at 17. At the time I was in high school. It was really hard because even though I wasn't getting enough sleep at night, and I was up all night feeding him and tending to his needs, I still had to get up in the morning and go to school on time and finish all day. I didn't have a choice. It was kind of like education was the most important thing. And I took the Native Child and Family Services program, which is a 2-year program through Confederation College. Now I'm working at the Anishinaabe-Gamik Friendship Center in Sulikote as the new healing and wellness worker.
And it was really strange for me not finishing high school and having my, mother as an educator and someone who started like these great programs that help First Nations people finish high school, and yet here's her own daughter who couldn't do that, but still she pushed me to do other to find other ways of being successful.
I'm an adult learner. I returned to school when I was 40 years old. In the course of probably 10 years, probably 2010, I went from a social service worker diploma, a BA in Social Development Studies, a BSW in social work, and an MSW in social work out of Calgary. Plus I gained like 7 years of work experience along the way.
I wanted to get into office administration so that I can work as a receptionist, but I found that it wasn't challenging enough. I found I'd be more useful in the social field. So that's why I decided to take the Native Child Family Service Worker program. I lived in Sulikote and I stayed the week in Thunder Bay, like during school, and I'd go home weekends, so it was very hard and tiring doing that. I was juggling home and my children and school. I just kept pushing myself, and knowing when that day came it was going to be all worth it. I want to be a role model for my children, so I wanted to show them and to show others as well it can be done.
So college, I tried a couple of times. The first time I tried college was when I was young. I believe I was like 19. I was just pretty much starting out on my own. I separated from my daughter's father, and so there was just challenges really trying to kind of get a grasp of what being a responsible adult was like, and just really trying to get a sense of what it was that I wanted to do, how I wanted to contribute, and the things that I wanted to learn. And that's difficult, I think, to do at such a young age.
I grew up in not the best conditions, maybe, I don't know if the story's not new. I mean, Aboriginal background. I grew up in a small community. It wasn't a reserve, it was a small village of 5 families that were all related, and alcohol use was what I learned right from childhood. And I came to move to Sulikote when we had a tragedy when I was 18. And by the time I was 20, I got a full-time job as a dry cleaner. I worked there for 20 years, and you're hitting 40 years old, and when I started to straighten out my life when I hit 30, I stopped the alcohol use in my life personally, and then for 10 years I was sober and thinking about being more productive, more involved in humanity, if you want to say that, rather than just working in a dry cleaners.
So I suffered intergenerational trauma, and my family was very dysfunctional. Well, growing up Indigenous, so Anishinaabe, I found that Anishinaabe people suffered. They didn't know why they were suffering. They didn't understand why things were the way they were. And I felt my going to school, I could help bring back that knowledge to share and to teach others.
So the second time I went back was almost 4 years ago now, I think in 2013. I was 35, so I went back a bit later, but this time I knew exactly what it was that I wanted to do. My main passion and really what was driving me was just really gaining the skills necessary to better tell the stories that I wanted to tell, whether it was through writing or journalism or photography, and now video.
Well, it has helped me in many ways. For the office admin, I learned like all the office procedures, what I would need to do in an actual job setting. So it gave me the tools and skills I needed. And with the Native Child Family Service worker, that helped me to see the effects of colonialism, oppression, genocide, racism. These things you don't learn in elementary school, and it opened my eyes. Honestly, it opened my eyes.
Especially for adults, like when you go back to school after being off for a long time, and you learn a lot of insight about yourself. You learn about, you're learning courses well, college is very practical, right? It's teaching you hands-on stuff. It's not so much into theory like university is. So as you're learning those practical things, how to help people, you're realizing you're helping yourself. You start to find out about these theories of human nature and, and some psychology stuff and dysfunctional families and all this kind of stuff, and you realize, hey, this is me, this is where I came from. So it makes it more enriching when you're studying that.
We don't want to overlook anything on our journey, and if people don't have the opportunity to go to school, for whatever reasons, if they don't have that opportunity to further their education, there are other ways of doing that, and being a part of the community and learning those life experiences that so many people don't have. I'm not a formally trained journalist. And that's something I kind of struggle with too, coming to terms with that. I didn't go to journalism school. I studied multimedia in college, but I have, and I've taken a couple of online courses for journalism, but I still think I have a lot to offer as a journalist because I have the lived experience of being in my community and being around my people and understanding how that works and how First Nations communities are.
For myself, I see education as a doorway of opportunity for growth, expansion, and to overcome this independence we have on the government for assistance. I feel education is key and is vital to our survival.
It opens doors, it gives you a sense of autonomy that you didn't have before, especially if you're First Nations and you grew up in a world that has so much barriers. It's a way of opening up those barriers and those doorways for yourself.
There's nothing saying we can't be, a lawyer or a doctor. We should be able to call, like our relative or somebody in the community that we know that's going to fight, that's not biased or doesn't have any prejudice or racism, and be able to count on them because they're educated. It seems hard, and it is hard, and it's a lot of work, but at your graduation you're going to feel like so much better because the world doesn't stop turning. You need to study and you need to educate yourself and you need to work, and especially if you have kids, to be a role model for them.